Let's go, and a shout out to the vets. Hit the pledge, then we send it in the jets. Don't be shy, you could send a pray request, and the list got everything you missed.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I got your watch list coming in December 7th, 2020, and the stock market might go crazy this week, and I have one stock I'm going to be shorting tomorrow or grabbing a put on, but we do not have too much this week. However, it looks like the virus could be the potential leader of news this week, so we want to see how that plays out. We're about to get into the second week of December. We got the first week knocked out, so what happens from here could get a little bit interesting. I have a few keywords I want to share with you. There is some stuff overseas, but overall it should be a pretty chill week, and we might see some of the same stocks we saw crazy last week do it again. So I got the plays, I got the keys, everything that we're looking at tomorrow in that one stock I have. So let us not delay. You guys know what you need to do. Drop your thumbs up on the video. Make sure you're subscribed. And if you don't know, we are live Monday through Friday, 30 minutes before open. It's the first link in the description, and it is pinned in the comments. We better see you there in the morning. It's free 99. It costs you nothing to join. YouTube.com/the-stock-market. You can post the plays, see the plays, watch the watch list come to life. And yes, if you want physical health and fitness shoved down your throat while you're trading stocks, then we are the place to be. And the most important thing you need to do, post your watch list below. Let us know what you're looking at. Got any plays, comments, remixes, anything, post them below and source that info. Shout out to Chad, baby. And please do not forget, today is Sunday, tomorrow is Monday. That's usually how it works, but we have the random account generator. So on this Monday watch list, what we ask from you guys is that you post a specific option trade, expiration date, contract price, everything up to $100. We recommend that you get some time on there or do whatever you want, and then we take a random play from the comment every week. We've been doing this since January with $500, and wow, I am impressed with the Chad. We're at $4,000. So please post a random play tomorrow. We're going to pick it on stream, and shout out to everybody who has participated. So right off the bat, like I said, there's not going to be much this week, but those virus numbers are going to be very, very important, I think, because given the start of December, it's going to be the first 7 days, but the average rate of deaths has been about over 2,000 a day. So now you're getting a lot more comments. You're getting some stuff here, but if you guys remember kind of these moving averages, how it's been triggering the lockdowns, you've been hearing back and forth with California, New York, and all of that stuff, but at the core heart of it, especially you guys have heard it from me, we kind of know how Wall Street likes to take it, but this death number is going to be very, very important. So that is one thing I'm really, really going to be watching out for. So that will be the first thing. However, you guys saw it from last week, there is still going to be these stimulus talks, and I think this could cause a tug of war with the vaccine news. This is even going to lead into some of the plays that I'm going to be looking at and some of the plays we made on Friday, but you've been hearing that back and forth from 900 billion to 600 billion. They're saying they have a bipartisan thing, all of that. So you are going to get some economic data out of the United States. I think it's like pricing and inflation. Shout out to UMAD watch list. I'm sure he has that in there, but nothing that shouldn't be crazy. Again, the ISM and all of that we got last week, that was kind of more indicative of the economic health. But I think stimulus headlines or virus headlines are going to be the main mover of any of this news. So we will watch out for that. We'll see how anything develops from there. And then those keywords I was telling you about coming into this week, it could either be this week or next week, but you might start hearing words like pension selling or window dressing. So if the market goes down or if you see certain rotations occur, these words will probably come up, and they're going to start to mention the end of the year pension selling. They're going to talk about hedge funds and how the funds need to get ready, and then all of this. And then window dressing is kind of entering and exiting certain positions by the end of the year to clean up the P&L statement, the profit book, whatever you want to call it. And that's what funds and other stuff do. So you usually hear these at the end of the year. We kind of heard it a little bit last week. I brought this up a few different times, but I want to start seeing how this plays out over this week, and then or if it comes into next week. So there is that. And then finally, like I said, overseas, you're going to get Brexit. They talked about it last week, and it kind of developed, and I think it can be important. It may not be the most important thing considering everything else. Again, I think the virus headlines and those death numbers are really going to be key, but this Brexit stuff has been coming up, and if anything, it's more of a gray swan at this point. So ask me about this tomorrow. I could bring this up on stream. We could go over the 2016 Brexit crash or the little correction that was caused from it. It was very, very surprising at the moment. It's been 4 years since then. A lot of people know about Brexit. They know what could be caused from that, all of it, the negative effects. So not a black swan. It's kind of an unexpected event that we've known about. And if it does develop and get bad, it could have a negative effect, but it's not like it's coming out of nowhere completely surprising. So that's why the headlines have the ability to move the market and then also not really. So it should be a pretty simple week. We'll see if anything comes out, anything surprises us. I wouldn't be surprised, especially remember that last week and the vaccine drop and all of that. So make sure you guys got the armor on and you're ready. But that is pretty much it. So let us get into the plays. So right off the bat, the first play, this is the one I'm going to be shorting. I talked about this last week, but McDonald's, I want puts on it. I know a lot of you guys are like, which direction? Which one do you want on it? I am more bearish, so you could get an idea of where I'm at, and I'm glad I'm waiting this week. I'll show you when I get to the chart, but I'm more bearish. However, it doesn't mean that there's not a good strangle opportunity if the premiums have depreciated. That's why waiting an extra week has helped us, and you saw Boeing last week, so that was an important play. I had my ideas with it, and you could kind of lean towards one side, so I could either grab only puts and see if there's a price, or I could do a strangle and even weight it towards the downside, but still get a little bit exposure, just making sure I'm not putting too much money out there. But I really like the McDonald's play. I think it's going to be good. We talked about this last week. I kind of brought it up middle of the week. You saw how it moved, but this is what I was saying. It finally broke trend. It kind of looks like Home Depot a little bit too. We brought that up. And that could be a secondary one because, like I'm saying, a lot of these companies have held out during the last few months in a range. So that's why looking at McDonald's, if this starts to break a little bit lower, I think that's going to be an opportunity. Or if it's going to bounce up, this is still almost like $10 move. So the options could get cheap. It could be one of those fast, surprising value stocks that move. So we've played McDonald's a lot of times. That's going to be the first play. That's the play I'm going to look to grab the puts on, but I may end up strangling it. So that is the first play. The second play is going to be I&O. Now, I talked about this last week. I ended up grabbing a play on Friday. We will go over that play right now. But the reason why I like it is because I think they could just benefit off of any vaccine uncertainty. So we saw that big move, that 3-point move when they said, oh, the Pfizer vaccine isn't going to work. You saw Myrna start to pop off. And then what happened after hours and the next day? I&O started to move. And then even as the first vaccines were getting approved, as one after another started coming out, some of these lower names vaccine stocks started to pop up. So pretty much this is kind of like if you remember when we first played these stocks, I still own 200 shares of I&O, so I ended up grabbing some more with the options. But it's like those third tier candidates, the third string quarterbacks, kind of like, all right, well, maybe they actually might get some playing time. So that's why when there's any vaccine uncertainty, I think these I&Os, these VXRTs, all of that, I think they could start to pop off. So I'm still holding a lot of those shares, but I ended up deciding to get a play on I&O. So that play that we made Friday, ended up grabbing 3 of the May 21st $25 calls. I paid $2.20 a pop. They dropped about like 3%. I wanted a little bit more exposure, but as I made this trade, shout out to Chad, somebody brought up a really, really good point, and they're like, well, you could have just bought 50 shares, and that is it. You know, I definitely could have walked away with 50 more shares. I already own 200, so the idea with this is definitely ending up leveraging more. Nonetheless, though, I want to see how this plays out. Again, to another feature, I just like getting time on a lot of these contracts. We've seen how that's benefited us. If you guys see any of these other pharmaceutical stuffs develop, definitely comment below or comment them while we're streaming tomorrow if anything comes up. As far as the rest of the plays, I am going to be watching Snowflake. This one came up a few times. Last week, it had the earnings. It kept going up. It really, really moved crazy, even the weeklies, but it has been pricing a lot, so maybe even on the downside if there's an opportunity. What I want to see is if the momentum keeps going, I think this will be a very, very good play, but we are most likely going to get priced out of it or they're just crazy. Again, you could have hit the weeklies on Friday, but it was literally charging you like $50, $60 for a daily $70, $80 point move. Ended up closing up 500-600% or almost 1,000%, but it's a very, very high volatility stock and it is going to be expensive. So it might be a little harder to play, but watch for even both sides. I'll keep my eye on it. And then finally, don't forget about a lot of the winners we had last week. So we have the Disney, the Spotify's. You remember we did a bunch of ghetto spreads on those. Those plays are holding up. Both of these are breaking out at all-time highs. I still wanted that Ulta. I was looking Friday. So don't get distracted. I still like these plays. I brought them up on my watch list. You know, if I didn't have my opportunity, I mean, we did get Disney and Spotify, but plays like Ulta, even some of the airlines, I said I wanted to strike on them last week. I still like a lot of those plays. It was just simply the timing, and then you guys saw what happened Thursday, what it led into Friday. So don't lose sight of these. I think a lot of these are going to be really, really good plays. So as far as everything else, I am going to be watching all of these active companies we had from last week, Disney, Spotify, even Abivime, still holding those. Those plays are up up 70%, but a lot of these are at key levels. So this is what I want to focus on. Even the rotations, don't forget about the rotations next week. Boeing, I'm still in that play. It hit that crazy breakout point. So depending on how this week plays out, this one could be interesting. If it does decay, it could create an opportunity with the options. But even if you remember last time it's moved like this in June, it creates opportunities both ways. So I'm excited to be in it. But I am still going to keep watching that. And again, don't lose sight of any of these companies. I will be watching UAL. I want to see how travel or anything else gets affected, especially with the news we've been getting with the deaths and all of that. Ulta, I like, again, I'm going to be seeing to get the leaps, but they have not depreciated despite this move, so I may have to wait a little bit more. Then DocuSign, we ghetto spreaded this one, but I kind of like this as a continuation. It reminds me of a weaker Snowflake. I mean, maybe it's a bad comparison, but they had earnings. They went up. The options held up in value. I like that. I want to see if this continues. You can see how this chart, it looks like the value stocks, but flipped more in a positive trajectory. So I like it. We're still in that play. A lot of people, what happens with the ghetto spread? Well, I already got my whole initial investment back, so we have that play till January. The idea is hold. I think you can close it for like 20 or 30%, but this play has some volatility and it's holding up, so I want to keep holding that and playing that one out. So watch them. Like we said, watch Snowflake. Another play series I had in mind was the banks. So we had some random plays on the random account generator. I liked how those played out, but the banks are kind of having some of that rotation move. These are some of those industries doing good with the inflation numbers and even the stuff we got from the Fed last week. They've been performing pretty decent. I believe you are going to get a stress test. I want to say second week of December, maybe the 14th or 16th. Somebody brought that up, so we'll see how they play into that, and depending on what happens there, that could release some of those dividends and restrictions that were put on by the Fed. This is part of that COVID assessment and all of that. I'm very sure I will have to double check that, but watch the banks. I like that. Again, some of these can offer really, really cheap opportunities, and pay attention to the laggers and leaders on the banks, aka Wells Fargo still getting clapped. Watch them. Watch the real estate stocks. Arquite, we have our long-term deposit. We made that last week. I think I'm going to hold on a little bit until I see something more attractive. And even coming into the end of the year, I wouldn't mind having an extra cash balance since all of our positions in the long term have been doing good. But I want to see Arquite here. There was some real estate news, and even coming to the end of the year, I want to see how these all play out. The mortgage data and all that we got last week was very positive, so I want to watch that. Watch Myrna, INO, all of the vaccine stocks, Pfizer especially. We made that daily, weekly. That thing got clapped, so we want to see pretty much how does that negative news that we got from Thursday play in. Don't really forget about that, but we'll see if the market has already brushed it off. Then finally, I wouldn't get too caught up with everything, but when you start to look at the trifecta, dollar's kind of chilling out. You want to see if this continues to go lower. This would point to more bullishness in the market, but the real main thing I'm looking at is TLT. I kept bringing this up. You saw the move we had on Friday, but if TLT drops below here and starts to go down, that would be a healthy correlation between the market, and that could point to some more bullishness. So I hope you're ready. But that is your watch list, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you're hydrated, healthy, ready to go. Make sure you post your watch list. Make sure we see you there in the morning. I need the armor on. I need the helmet shining. I need you grounded, planning. You got the armor on, baby. But the goal loves you. I love you. And we'll see you in the morning. Let's go.